Convenience versus quality is a very broad topic. Wouldn't even know where to begin talking about it. So let me just start with a specific example and we'll see where we end up. I go out and make photography videos, and I do so with a GoPro hanging around my neck. And it's capturing everything, interactions with people, whatever's going on around me, even things I may not have noticed in the moment. The journey to wherever I'm going and back. And of course, most importantly, it's capturing my camera and wherever it happens to be pointed. It's the perfect approach for someone like me. Someone not looking to make cinematic masterpieces, but rather naturalistic, behind-the-scenes videos. It is a low to no effort approach, allowing me to just concentrate on photography, allowing things to just happen organically. And unexpected things happen all the time. For example, I crashed my drone a while back, and I made an entire video about recovering it. I didn't know that was the video I was making. I figured I'd use 1 or 2 clips of that, delete the rest, but that became the entire story, so you never know. And action cameras are the perfect cameras for a you never know type of approach. Also, I think first-person POV is pretty special. Augmented with other kinds of shots, better still, but POV will always be the cornerstone of the sort of photography video that I'm interested in making. I mean, I think so. But if you're just seeing my face rather than what I'm doing, I mean, it's a fine face, but my face is irrelevant to the process of creating photos, so I'm hesitant to and frankly uninterested in making videos about my face. I guess it depends, though. That's just my dumb opinion, and I do enjoy variety. But it's certainly conceivable that someone maybe can't get out as much as they'd like to, but still has something they'd like to share, so disregard my prior ignorant soapbox proclamation. But back when CD compact disc was a thing, I used to shoot and design a lot of covers, booklets. It was always surprising to me how often the singer's face was the cover of the album, which I thought could be clever if you titled the album My Face. Nobody ever did, though, but I kept on pitching the idea. Well, here I am out shooting at sunrise. The weather starting to get cold, which happened all of a sudden. I was a little unprepared and underdressed. And I'm here following my beloved POV strategy, courtesy of my few generations old GoPro, which I haven't upgraded in a while because it still meets my needs. Or does it? That's the question that led me to make a rather interesting discovery. Because there is an issue with the GoPro. It cannot focus on things that are close up. As evidence, I present this shot of the drone controller. It's not horribly out of focus, but it is also not in focus. And technically the GoPro doesn't focus, period. The focus is locked. But everything past a few feet away from camera appears to be in sharp focus. But with a traditional camera, it doesn't really bother me. I feel like your brain kind of adjusts. It understands what's happening, and your eyes automatically look past the camera and to what I'm photographing. But it doesn't work that way with a drone controller. It just looks really bad. Plus glare, reflections on the screen. Yeah, I could be doing screen recordings, but then I'm not getting that POV thing that I like so much, showing hands doing things on devices. So the question I'm trying to answer for myself, is it possible to do the POV thing, but maybe with a better class of camera, increase the quality of what I'm getting? A camera that can focus close up, but without losing the convenience of just strapping a GoPro around my neck and not thinking about it. Spoiler alert, the answer is yes and no, and it's complicated. Introducing the Pocket 3, a camera that's been out for a very long time. You probably know all about it. I didn't, though, because I'm a bit of a dummy. This is my first day out with it. I get home, look at my footage. First thing I notice is that it tends to overexpose everything. Even when using exposure compensation, 2/3 of a stop under, as I was, still overexposed. And the composition here is really odd, because next thing I discovered, you can't just leave it rolling and walk around like I did with the GoPro. That being said, I'm getting like shallow depth of field. Camera is in sharp focus. The ground is out of focus. That's awesome. I'm able to monitor as I shoot, so I can angle the screen to prevent glare, reflections, and whatnot. But without that super wide field of view that a GoPro gives you, I do feel like the shots are less interesting in the sense that you're losing that relationship between the camera and the environment. So how can I tackle this problem? I tried angling the camera differently, so I'm not shooting down so much as out. And while it doesn't look awkward, it actually felt quite awkward. I was holding the camera out away from my body in an unstable, non-ideal camera movement producing sort of way. So I gave up on the idea of holding it out and went back to kind of filming in a downward direction. For now, I just need to strategize. It is undeniable, though, that the shots coming out of the Pocket 3 look significantly better than the GoPro. But this is POV, mounted like a GoPro. All of this is. Composition's a little weird here, but it may just be that getting used to this type of camera is going to require getting used to this type of camera, not expecting it to just take over for a GoPro without adjusting my approach. I do feel inclined to resist the change. It annoys me. I feel inclined to fall back on what's familiar, but that's extremely lame. I would actually like to grow as a human and as a photographer, so I am going to keep trying. Anyway, chasing after quality, as we all know, that's just how it goes. Quality and convenience are mortal enemies, residing at two opposite ends of the spectrum. But also, it's not really that simple, unfortunately. Extra work doesn't necessarily equal increased quality. If your setup is too complicated, it can prevent you from getting into a flow, and the frustration of all these little things slowing you down can compound, ultimately ruin the experience. This is the next day. I had a couple of minutes. I was on my way to a photo gig, and at home, I practiced holding my camera out at just the right distance, but being able to support the weight of my arms against my body a little bit. And this is promising, this approach. I think it looks good. Didn't really feel that it was holding me back. I mean, maybe a little bit, but it wasn't too bad. But the outward angle as opposed to the downward angle helps me reacquire that which I've lost moving away from the GoPro. That relationship between camera and environment. And this is all still first person POV point of view. Or what I mean is I'm not holding the camera and pointing it. It's just mounted about chest level on my neck mount that I've always used for my GoPro. And here we go. What started all this was my dissatisfaction with filming the drone controller. Looks fantastic now. But I don't know, chalk it up maybe to new camera growing pains. Either I stopped the recording and forgot to start it again, or it stopped by itself and I was unaware. Ended up having to use the backup screen recording from the drone controller anyway. But it happens that way. I'm not too thrown by that. New gear with new buttons, new things to be aware of. You're likely to be thrown off and forget something. So unlike the GoPro that shoots with an extremely wide field of view and tons of resolution where you can kind of recompose later if necessary, the Pocket 3 maxes out at UHD 4K. And in order to point the camera, you're using a little tiny joystick that controls the gimbal. Thus, I missed video of me taking this balloon shot. It's very frustrating. Got the photo, but did not get video of me taking the photo. I really do miss the speed of the action camera approach, and I really miss all that extra resolution. Although video isn't normally measured this way. A UHD 4K image is about 8 megapixels, whereas the GoPro is shooting at about 25 megapixels. And a lot of that is vertical resolution, which gives me tons of flexibility in composing a final image, including panning across vertically from whatever I'm shooting in the background down to my camera. I am considering shooting on both the GoPro and the Pocket 3 simultaneously. And to that end, I'm currently working on a way to mount them both where the Pocket 3 is not in the shot of the GoPro. So I'm thinking GoPro because it's a backup, GoPro because I always have that wide shot for the purpose of perspective. Then I can shoot the camera at a downward angle if I choose to. I kind of mixed and matched here. I shot some at a downward angle, some at an outward angle. But the GoPro also, for speed, I would not have missed that balloon shot were I using the GoPro. And the exposure compensation level I landed on is 1 1/3 stops underexposed. And that's how you get an image that looks basically correctly exposed. Weird. It's just weird how far off the light meter is. But as I'm out walking around shooting, quality versus convenience is the conversation I'm having with myself. In some respect, I am using that to try to talk myself into keeping the camera, because yes, returning it is certainly still an option, and it's an expensive camera, but I find that I'm very frustrated with it when I'm out in the field, but I'm very pleased with it when I get back and see the results. It is a definite upgrade, but it also gets old really fast. Using a tiny little joystick to move a gimbal around and frame up a shot of your camera every single time I want to take a still photo. How long am I going to put up with that before I lose my mind, I wonder? It may seem obvious. Of course quality should win out over convenience, but as I kind of alluded to earlier, it's not really that simple. For example, carrying around a giant, heavy tripod may in fact increase the quality of some of your images, but how many shots are you going to miss because of the burden of carrying around that heavy tripod? Because you'll tire more quickly, because the camera will be locked down, because you won't want to walk away from it for fear of it being stolen. Same is true bringing heavy lighting gear with you, too many lenses. Being fast, loose, mobile also leads to getting better images. But it's hard to know if I'm just being lazy or if I have a valid concern here that it will impact quality in an adverse way, improving video quality while decreasing still image quality. But we'll see. I'm waiting for a mount that I ordered to arrive. And currently I'm thinking GoPro establishing shot, cut to Pocket 3 showing my camera, cut to still image. And because the GoPro is covering the establishing shot, no need to repoint the gimbal constantly every time I stop for a photo. So we'll see. I'll see how that works out. And then I'll make a more informed decision about whether or not to return the Pocket 3.